Hey kids, this is it, the very last waiver wire show of the season. My name is Chris. Thanks for sticking with us all year. If there's one small way you could say thanks to us for the 2019 season, it's pretty simple. It would be to subscribe to this channel. Please just take 1 second right now. It really helps. Click the little bell. Makes a difference. You might think it doesn't. It actually does. All right, with that, you are in your fantasy finals. Let's go. Let's look at the Week 16 waiver wire. So if you're in your fantasy finals in a shallower league, I'd obviously prefer you to dance with who brung ya. But there's an obvious possible exception in this final week. We no longer worry about rostering handcuffs because whoever ain't injured yet ain't getting injured in time for us to do anything about it, except in the obvious case of Dalvin Cook, who re-injured his shoulder Sunday in LA. No notion yet, as of my recording this, of whether he plays in Week 16. Alexander Mattison himself didn't play Week 15 because of an ankle injury. Week 16 against the Packers, we will see. If Mattison returns, I'd expect him to be a top 20 fantasy back and someone you would add. More about his alternative in a moment. Adrian Peterson has a good matchup against the Giants and can be a flex even in a shallow league. Our buddy, the Wizinator, Kerryon Johnson, reportedly has a chance to return for Week 16 at Denver. But of course, very difficult to know, even if he is active, how much he would play. Tyler Higbee continues to be the streaming tight end of choice if he's available, even though most of his production Sunday was in total garbage time. And if Higbee's not available, I don't hate looking at O.J. Howard yet again, as it appears both Mike Evans and Chris Godwin may be done for the season. And here's the list of more standard league names. As always, these ownership percentages are from Yahoo Leagues. We will talk at length about Boone and Perriman in just a moment, depending on what you need in your finals. I hope you don't need too much. I guess it's possible that you do. Those two guys could provide answers. Anthony Miller tends to produce in games where the Bears trail, tends to disappear in games where they're ahead, as befits an ancillary Mitch Trubisky weapon. Against the Chiefs in Week 16, I'd never tell you I'm positive what game flow will be. There's at least a chance the Bears will need to score to keep up. And then I've got a pair of Eagles at the bottom of this list. You wouldn't want to have to rely on them. They are on an NFL field at all because of necessity and injuries. But Greg Ward, the converted college quarterback, was the only Philly wideout to catch a pass in Week 15. He snagged the game winner to boot. And for as long as Jordan Howard is out, Boston Scott is stealing snaps in sort of the Darren Sproles role in the Eagle offense. And if you told me you wanted to sneak like 8 PPR fantasy points out of him in Week 16 against Washington, I can see that happening. All right, quick break, and then we'll do some film watching on our top 2 guys here. It's gift-giving time, but what about a gift for yourself? The gift of an Audible membership. For a limited time, Audible's offering more than half off your first 3 months. Access an unbeatable selection of audiobooks, including, for example, one of my 4 novels that I've written and read, available on Audible right now. You can choose 3 titles every month, 1 audiobook, 2 exclusive Audible originals you can't hear anywhere else. It's great while commuting, at the gym, during your holiday travels. Right now, for a limited time, you can get 3 months of Audible for just $6.95 a month. That's more than half off the regular price. Give yourself the gift of listening. For more, go to audible.com/HarrisTube or text HarrisTube to 500-500. Okay, the reason we're considering Mike Boone as an emergency play in Week 16 for the Vikings is this play from Dalvin Cook on Sunday. Pitch right, Cook gets tackled behind the line and lands on his shoulder. That's not a violent fall. That is his elbow jamming the ground a little bit, and if that's enough to hurt Dalvin Cook that badly, it's pretty clear he's not that healthy. As of my recording this, as I say, we don't know if he plays next Sunday. Since we also don't know if our preferred handcuff, Alexander Mattison, will play, we have to take a look at this guy, Mike Boone, a second-year undrafted player out of Cincinnati who's racked up lots of preseason touches the past couple years, but never made a splash in a game that counted until the second half on Sunday. Here's the first touchdown he scored. It's a fine power play right that he cuts back. Boone is 5'10", 206, and anyone who tells you they're sure what he would do with a start is probably not being honest. It's a fine run here. And what we should really notice is room. He's got room, right? Part of what we like about the possibility of inheriting this job for any Viking running back is it's a good offensive line, and you get a running start. And what we learned Sunday about Boone is he'll take a running start. If you give it to him, he looks like he accelerates well. This is a decent change of direction in the hole. And if there isn't a hole, Mike Boone will endeavor to create one with his head, which isn't always a recipe for longevity, but prevents too many negative gains. And for a smaller guy in close, this game was a blowout in the second half, but the Chargers are totally stacking the line here, and 2 Vikings pull in front of Boone, and he throws himself recklessly into the hole, and really nobody touches him that much. And this was his second touchdown. There's no question, really, what we're adding, if we're adding Boone, is situation as much as player. And yet I do think it's useful to know that despite his stature, Mike Boone is no shrinking violet. He doesn't have the hammer Alex Mattison does, and if Cook is out and Mattison isn't, I would be a lot more interested in starting Mattison. But if it's Boone by himself, he is a very direct runner. I think we're looking at a championship week RB2. But if you're looking for a wideout, unlike the summer or even early in the season, when we make mistakes assuming we know what a player workload is going to be before the season gets going, right about now in an emergency, yes, I agree. We want guys who have lucked into valuable potential depth chart locales, and Breshad Perriman of the Buccaneers sure appears to have done that with Mike Evans out, with Chris Godwin potentially out, and Perriman coming off 3 touchdowns in Detroit. He is a big-time waiver add. Here's the first score Sunday. This is, as so often has happened with the Lions this year, a defensive miscommunication. We see the safety jump the tight end route, and the corner bites on Perriman's nice little subtle move to the outside at the top of his route there. Gives him a step, gives him a head nod, and then Perriman goes to the post where the Lions have nobody standing there, so that's a touchdown. Here's the second touchdown. This, of course, is also largely about Jameis Winston throwing on every single down. Not really. Just seems like it. Again, this is man underneath, but it's supposed to be zone in the back, and nobody is defending the right side of the field. It's ugly defense when Perriman breaks on the cross. He's going to score here. It's good play by Jameis Winston to step up, and that's the second touchdown for Perriman. And then the third touchdown, bunch formation right. Perriman just runs real fast, and the Lions corner can't stay with him. And this game was probably not a repeatable effort no matter how good it gets in Week 16. The Texans' defense Saturday might not be good. I don't think it's going to be this bad. But there's a big opportunity as the potential unquestioned number 1 for Jameis Winston. Now, why might not you be that excited with the results that Breshad Perriman gives you? Well, let me answer your question with a question. Why has a former first-round pick never topped 33 catches in a season? We will give you some hints. See if you can notice a pattern developing among these clips that we're showing you and will continue to show you from back when Perriman was a Baltimore Raven. Now, I know what a smart and discerning person you are because of your excellent taste in YouTube channels, so I think once we keep scrolling through these clips, you're going to sense a delicate pattern. And remember, 2016 and 2017, Ravens not exactly swimming in incredible receiver talent, which is why every so often the dude I call Kaiser Soze on the podcast would rear his head in his hands. And I call him Kaiser Soze because most of the time in Baltimore, he seemed more rumor than man, and also capable of doing great evil to your fantasy team and to the Ravens. I mean, there are more. We could keep showing them. There is honestly no arguing against Perriman as a great situational fantasy starter on this 1-week basis. Jameis Winston can't and won't stop throwing deep. Doesn't matter if he throws interceptions. Footballs will fly. And if there's no Evans and no Godwin, Perriman will certainly be in the top 20 receivers in my ranks for Week 16. Just realize, if something goes wrong, I think you'll be able to guess what. Thanks so much for watching. Please, please, please smash that like button, write a comment, tell us who else you'd like to see us review film on, and of course, best of all, please subscribe to our channel and then click that little bell above the subscribe button and you'll be notified whenever we post a new video.